Everyone, welcome to our West Virginia University's online software engineering graduate program. This is our information session today, and we're glad you could join in to learn about our program here hosted on Coursera. So our agenda today is to introduce our panelists, demo one of the courses, which is the 585 Software Engineering Economics course, and then go through some of the things that are important to coming on board with us, which is the application process, some student service, online available services, and then I'll talk a little bit about outcomes and career paths that are involved with this program, and then some contact information. So um, anytime you can feel free to submit questions to the Q&A, and you'll also see some communication to you through the chat that'll supplement what we're talking about here. So my name is Dale Dzelski. I'm the program director for the WVU Online MSSE program and also LCSEE, which is Lane Computer Science Electrical Engineering faculty at Statler College here at WVU. Ann Clayton is with us. Ann, you'd like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Ann Clayton, like Dale mentioned, and I'm the admissions coach for this program. So some of you I may have talked to as you were gathering initial information about looking into West Virginia or looking into this program. If I haven't chatted with you yet and you've got questions about the application process and the steps that you need to take, or just kind of any general questions along the way, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to answer what I can, and looking forward to getting to know everybody.
And we also have a Coursera representative online helping with this webinar today. So if there's any problems you may have, feel free to reach out to Coursera or let us know via the QA if you're not having technical problems, but just communication wise. But moving on, so the first thing we wanted to do was to go into one of the courses. And beforehand, I wanted to introduce I am one of the faculty and teach several of the courses in the program. So you can read the details on this slide about me. But one of the things I'd like to state is at the bottom of this slide, it states that um, I have one of the most fulfilling experiences as an instructor is to hear about the career success of of my students, my former students, who actually send me emails telling me about their progress in their career. And we've also had several of them in the past on these webinars to talk to you about their experience as well as their career advancements as a result of the program. So I just wanted to let you know that. So that you have a general understanding about why software engineering economics is important to this program. Uh, Various programs that you'll look at compared to ours may or may not have this particular course, but it is one that several students continue to state has been a valuable asset to what they know in their toolbox throughout their career. And I want actually just recent graduates I was just reading over their exit interviews, and they stated that. Um, and so we, or I've actually been a reviewer on the recent SWEBOC Guide 4.0. This is out of IEEE. If you're not familiar with that, it's one of the largest standard organizations in the world for engineering type standards that's applied and used across the world. I'm also involved in some other working groups, such as the IV&V um, working group dealing with system software and hardware. The chapters in this particular book are laid out for what is important, what is the core body of knowledge for software engineering. And what I've done is actually identified next to the chapters do not have the parentheticals. I added those to show you our courses in this program that relate to each of these chapters. So, for example, requirements 520. And as you go down through, you'll see on 15, they actually have an entire chapter dedicated to software engineering economics, which is specific to this particular discipline and addresses several different topic areas. and so forth. So I'm going to switch over now to Coursera's uh, product. And this will be the LMS that you'll use. And when you come into as a student, you'll see here that you have on the left here um, various um, activities. For example, this is the introduction. If I go back to um, all of the modules, you'll see this is the software engineering economics class and the course materials listed by module. This happens to be taught in the summer, so we usually teach our fall and spring right now as 16-week courses, and this is usually um, a 12-week course, and the 13th happens to be there because of the final exam, but it's still built. We start out a few. We have what's called a soft start. So we start out some of the introduction stuff is handled at the very beginning, kind of as a week zero, but we have here module one. But this is the structure of it. You'll see also a grades, notes, discussion forums, messages, live events, teamwork. When you start out the class, let me go back to view, sorry. You'll go into your first module. Here you have usually meet your instructor. In this case, it's me. Your objectives will identify what specifically you will be accomplishing here, in this case, the course. And then as you go into each module, it will be the module ones. This particular course covers understanding and applying key software engineering economic fundamentals to real world software economic issues. It illustrates examples of the key software lifecycle, deals with applying the concepts of risk and uncertainty to real world software development projects, and then uses best practice economic analysis and relates to interpreting good enough principles. Just a few of the things that um, you'll also find in the introduction is the technology required. Of course, basically a browser of modern time computer capabilities, and even you can use iPad and phone for much of the interactions on Coursera's platform. And then the syllabus you're able to click on and go through the details of it, and from straight from here, if you click on this, you'll see it come up. Just making sure you're seeing what I'm seeing. Are you currently seeing the syllabus here? Okay. And then tentative class schedule. So some of the courses, and this one is one of those, offers a class schedule that goes through the specifics. So this particular course, just to get into some of the details, we have a book that we use by Meta, and it actually uses Excel as a foundational tool to do most of the economic problems and calculations. So we look at the general concepts and ideas here conveyed. We go in and there's discussion boards on specific areas. We start out in most classes will have projects towards the end. This one I start out right at the beginning, and I utilize a real proposal. So it's actually a proposal from or a request for a proposal from a government organization on their government website. So you basically pull that down, or it's provided by me available to you. And then there's guidance given, and there's a simulation of a company that you're working for, and you're developing only the cost piece of the proposal. So you're working with a technical team. And so this gives you insight that you don't normally have as a software engineer as to um, the impact on a proposal of the cost side of it, and calculating out the dollars, and calculating out basically being given by usually the technical team the hours that's going to be required for certain activities, and building that out. So that's one of the projects. Also, there's case studies, and about halfway through this, you'll see there's a specific case study that's actually within the course textbook, and that particular case study builds out a projection of a budget for an organization. So an IT organization is trying to develop their budget and figure out how it's a small business, and they're working to come up with some what ifs. So what if I do this? So you're also, once you build it out, you're then trying to figure out, what do I do in this case? Some other things we look at is the impact of, and then some of these discussion board posts of changes in software engineering processes. So with artificial intelligence and the integration of it, how does that impact what we're doing? And so there's also the education is not just from me speaking to you as an instructor, but also the interaction between the students in the class is a very powerful tool. And many students that have gone on in their career after graduating have said that they still contact and interact with some of their colleagues in the classes, and share ideas and things that they're working on that's working for them, and tool based on certain tools and other things. So our industry is very vibrant and very active right now. Changes going on with regards to specifically artificial intelligence, but cloud computing and other types of technologies that are infusing in that. And we address that in many of our classes, as well as this one. Dealing with risk later on here towards the end, we get into this more, and you even do some calculations of a software project, dealing with estimations and coming up with using Kokomo 2, as well as looking at the way in which changes or adjustments to specific activities can impact the overall cost of the project. So there's a lot of things that provide in this course the student with a good foundation by the time they end across this sphere of software engineering economics content. So this explains some of the format, and then there's policies and academic. Going back up to the top again, I'll take you through some look at some of the modules. This one here talks about interest and financial equivalency, and you'll notice there's textbook reading, which then just describes where in the textbook to go, which is available online electronically, or can also be obtained as a hard cover. But when you click on this, it'll take you to a video, and this one happens to be a YouTube video. So in this case, he's talking about specific
adjusted into an effective interest rate.
Continuous compounding. And so he kind of just walks through a few minutes, giving you some explanation. And then there's also my lecture, and this is how most of our courses are also structured, where we have a video lecture of the instructor, and they're broken into pieces here. We'll go into part B, and here we're talking, and this is me talking about the definitions and terms dealing with interest and calculations. So we do cover some things that might be familiar to you, and I also cover things. Your textbook uses the formulas and functions within Excel, which helps expedite some of the calculations. But in my lectures, I even go into some of the formulas that are also utilized in software economics. So then as you go through, you'll see there's a quiz. You go into the quizzes, and when you start a quiz, It takes you in to the questions, and this particular quiz I went into does not. Each of our modules have formidable questions that just help you with learning, making sure you've comprehended and understand the things that you have just read or watched in the content of the course. So that's the purpose of this. There's no points assigned to this. Some of the A few of the classes actually do have a very small amount of points assigned, and you can also take these over and over again, unlike the assignments. So then we go down to a problem. This is economic problem assignment, and when you go into one of these, here it breaks down what it is that you're doing, borrowing from a bank, or and then it gives you the problem layout and asks you to complete certain aspects of what's needed for that particular. Um, and let me go into one of the more. Let me go into module 8. As we go down here, you'll see um, sensitivity, goal seeking, and then the cost proposal, some of the activities that are needed there. And that's actually set up as a team. The At the beginning, there's usually 2 to 3 students that you're working together with virtually and interacting with breaking up the activities there. And so here's economic problem 4. We go into this, and these, of course, are updated and changed each time. Mhm. Actually, so here it has papers that you read in order to do discussion board 4. And notice I marked as completed. You can do that as you go through your assignments and see what. Um, and as you go into and these are downloading the PDFs to my system in this particular case. So I won't be able to go over and show you those. But here's one dealing with natural language processing. And so this discussion board is going to you're going to interact with the students, other students in the class on discussing how it is processing to automatically determine self-admitted technical debt. So addressing technical debt in software engineering using natural language processing. So that, that's the types of things we deal with in the real world in software engineering. And so we integrated those things into the course itself so that you can take a look and see how that impacts and talk about it in the class. We also have live sessions. I don't want to gloss over that fact. This is kind of like an office hour. It's a little bit more like a flipped class. So we discuss if there's anything about the asynchronous content. Any questions there? Also reviewing and I usually emphasize things that maybe there was some problems with or struggles on in the live sessions. So we cover different elements. Here's an example of um, the agenda for this particular class. So here we'll go over the reading and video lectures only from a standpoint of, is there any question, just a Q&A type thing to cover that. We're also touch base, even though you have everything laid out as to what's due when, I still emphasize if there's any questions about that, any adjustments that might need made there. Also, we'll go into, if you've already turned in and they've been graded, we'll go into the economic problem and talk about it if they're and emphasize things. Also, the same with the discussion post. Even though there's been discussion asynchronously, we'll just have a brief discussion here if there's specific things we want to highlight or talk about across the class. And then there's also anything coming up or what's next that's done in the class. So that's what our live sessions. We also bring into the live session. I hadn't in this particular course, but I had within my quality course. I actually brought with the top um, uh, QA person for NASA, and he came in and spoke with our class and talked about the importance and significance of quality assurance across NASA's missions, and that was an entire uh, uh, online class that was provided there. So we have some fantastic speakers that come in as well throughout the course of offering. We also record these. You'll notice it says recording live session. So these live sessions are recorded and they're placed out into the lesson and next to the slide sets of the live discussion set. So if you happen to not be able to make the live, you can still go in and then you can email um, uh, your instructor about the details in that area if you have questions or bring them to the next live session. So that freedom is there for the asynchronous, even if you aren't able to make the synchronous sessions. And not all courses are every week, but most are set up for a weekly uh, touch base. And those are usually less than an hour long in most all the classes for those. And they're in the evening on Eastern Standard Time. Let's see. I also have the discussion posts. I showed you some of the papers from, but I didn't actually go into one. So let me do that. And then we'll see if there's any questions you might have that I may have. Oh, and also have, here's an example of the practice for at least my class. Each faculty would utilize a different way, but this is an example I give out there for them or for you to get familiar with how my exams for this particular course are. I usually, the take home exams are different. They're more essay oriented. This course is the only one that I have that I use the exam capability. And so it just basically lets you go through and select your options and then this click your honor code and then you submit. Um, and it usually gives you instant response. Because of this being very intensive within Excel, I required an Excel spreadsheet of your working paper and of how you come up with your answer so that you will not lose all of your points so you could get partial credit if you build it out and just one or two small little things you missed. That's also an important factor in this class so that you don't would not lose the entire point, but it is auto graded initially. And I think the discussion posts is where I was headed here. Let me go back. This one's on methods. So here you shows you you get graded on formatting and grammar, and also on the contribution to the topic. So and then finally on interaction with the other students. So you'll have a grade for did you form your concepts and ideas well and properly submit them, um, and then did you contribute and add to the topic specifically defined or outlined. In this one, it's dealing with methods and analysis, and then the interaction. Did you provide the appropriate interactions? In this case, you had to do at least 3 or more questions or comments to other students' posts. So you go on their posts and submit that. Okay, I'll open that up now for any questions, comments.
Dale, there's one in the chat if you can read. I can read it too. They have a Bachelor of Science in Computer Science IT. They don't think their GPA is very high, but they have experience and they'd like to know your thoughts on that.
Yeah, that's a very good question, and it's very common. A lot of our students come from not your typical like CS undergrad um, pure CS or SE type undergrad, but they might have a MIS or um, something similar to that. And then some don't have experience in the industry, or their experience varies. So we do look at all those cases individually. So based on the whole package of your recommendations submitted, your resume that's submitted, and how long ago your undergrad is also plays a factor, because if you have built a lot of experience in the industry, but perhaps your undergrad is not real strong in this area, we take that into consideration. So I don't like just saying yes or no that this particular situation would be good. We really want your entire application package, which is why Anne's here to talk to you about that, and that's a good segue to that. But I would I would not let what you just described discourage you from applying. Let me put it that way, because we do look at everyone and all of the circumstances and input that you provide through your application packet, as well as your write up about yourself and so forth. So before we get into that, let me switch to our website and turn it over to Anne.
So as Dale just went through that little overview of Coursera, so that is the platform that we use, very similar to Blackboard or Canvas, but just a different specialization through that WV uses. So you can click on that link and get information about the program, or you can go to the online.wvu.edu website and click on Masters and then Software Engineering and find a lot of information as well. We are currently still accepting applications for fall. I know on there it says the deadline was July 16th, which was yesterday. We can extend that really just another week or two. August 1st would probably be our hard deadline. So if you can get everything in as quickly as possible, then Dale can review it with the committee and get back to you with your answer. So if you're feeling like that's a little bit too rushed and you want to look at spring, the spring applications are not open just yet. We're revamping our application systems, so those won't be open until probably end of August or early September. So kind of keep checking and look for that. They will be available, like I said, shortly around that time is our hope. But there is still time for fall if you want to get that application in. And then we can go to the next slide. So the application process, as Dale mentioned, it's a little bit different than a lot of colleges. We do a very holistic application process. We don't require test scores or things like that. Although if you've taken the GRE and you did well and you want to submit it as part of your application packet, you're certainly welcome to do that. But basically what we require would be to go through the website, start the application, submit your personal statement. And the personal statement is really your chance to advocate for yourself and tell us why you'd be a good fit for the program. So a general rule of thumb to follow would be, why this program, why now, what led you to this point in your career that you want this degree, and then what do you hope to do with the degree in your career. And again, if you're one of those students that maybe doesn't have that 3.0 or higher GPA, I always recommend to my students to acknowledge that in the personal statement. Let us know what happened in undergrad. Did you switch majors? Did you forget to withdraw from a class so you have a couple Fs, or were you just young and not dedicated? So certainly let us know what went wrong and then why you're a different student now. That will help the committee really get a better idea of the type of student you are now. And it's acknowledging that you understand that your GPA isn't exactly where West Virginia wants it to be, but that you're still a good candidate for the program. The second requirement would be 2 letters of reference. And again, as Dale went through, it's a very hands-on applicable program. So we do want one of those references to be from an employer. They can both be from an employer. One can be academic, one can be professional. It really doesn't matter. But at least one does have to be from a professional reference. We're not so much as concerned as who's writing the letter, but can they speak to you specifically and about you specifically? So when you're asking someone to write the letter, again, since we're using all of these pieces holistically, we want to get the most information we can from you. So when you're asking the person to write the letter, ask them to be as specific as they can about you and your strengths. And again, that will help you through the application process. If you're an international student, you'll have to do the English language proficiency, and that link Dale put there will talk to you about who's waived, what's waived, what are the standard scores we need, all the different information there. And then along with your application, we require your unofficial transcripts from all the colleges that you attended. To apply to the program, we can use your unofficials, and sometimes those are easier to get, or students have them on file. You can just attach the PDF. If you want to just send your officials because you're confident that you're going to get accepted, that's fine as well. Should you be accepted to the program, we would require those official transcripts as well. And those do have to be sent from school to school. So either you can contact the school that you went and have them sent, or most commonly and probably more preferred would be to use one of the electronic services like Parchment or Clearinghouse and just have them sent electronically. That's generally the quickest way that we can get them as well. So, and then they get notifications, you get notifications on where they are in the process. So it's a good safety net for you there as well. And like I said, if you have GRE scores, you can submit them. They're not required. And then a resume, just kind of letting us know your background, any experiences that you've had in the field. Just again, so we can get a better picture of who you are as a student, what your motivation is for the degree, what your background coming in is. So just make sure that that's a professional, updated resume. And then once all of those things are submitted, it will get to Dale and the department, and then they'll review it. Generally within a few weeks, you'll get your answer. It'll be quicker this time of year since school does start on the 20th. But generally that's the time frame. And then also keep in mind, with those letters of recommendation, what you would do would be to submit their contact information, and then we reach out to them with what we're looking for. So that's generally one of the holdups for the application. It's usually very easy to get someone to agree to do the letter of recommendation. It's a little bit harder to get them to sit down and do it. So that would be one thing that you should stay on top of. I can certainly check your application as well and let you know what we have or where you are in the process. So if you're not sure if a person has submitted their letter of rec, you can always reach out to me and I can check that for you. But it's a pretty streamlined process, and then you'll get your acceptance both in your portal and an email notification for it. So that's kind of our standard admission process. And then the provisional status, which is on the other side of the screen, is kind of what Dale was alluding to earlier. If you don't have that GPA that we want, or maybe you don't have a computer science degree or something in the related field, what we would do would be to put you as a provisional status. So what that means is that you would have to take the Software Engineering 505 course, pass that with a B or higher, and that is an additional course. So that's not part of the standard curriculum. That would be the one additional course that you would need. And then you would need to take 2 other courses that are part of the program and pass those with the B or higher as well. And then at that point, your status would be switched from provisional to a full standard admit. So again, if you're not having all that criteria, that GPA, sometimes we'll put you in as a provisional status. If you don't have the computer science or related degree, you could come in as a provisional status, and then you would need just that one additional course. So there are a lot of options. And again, if you don't have that computer science background, definitely recommend adding that into your personal statement, kind of acknowledging that elephant in the room, like I'm doing a career shift, or this has been my background, or I wound up falling into this at work and now I want the education behind it. Again, looking at all those pieces of information, we really want to know about you and your motivation. So the more information you can tell us, the better. And if we go to the next slide, okay, so And if you have any questions about the application process or where you fit in that, feel free to reach out. Like I said, I'm happy to answer those. Um, we do offer different services to students, and sometimes we get a lot of questions of, I'm an online student. What does that really mean? What, am I part of West Virginia? So these are just a few of the services that you can access as an online student. So I'm going to go through those fairly quickly for you. The accessibility services. So that's basically if you have a temporary or permanent disability and you feel like you need accommodations for the classes, they can talk with you. Maybe if you had accommodations either in high school or undergrad and you feel like they would be helpful to you in this graduate program, you can certainly reach out. Sometimes it's extra time on testing or captioning or interpreting services. Those are some pretty standard ones, but whatever you feel or you've had in the past that you feel like would be helpful, they can certainly talk with you about that and get you connected. We do have online tutoring. For the most part, we use peer tutors to kind of help students that are in need. So if you're feeling like you're struggling in a course and you've gone to your instructor and they've helped you as much as you can, but you still feel like you're needing a little bit more, you can always sign up for the tutors. You just kind of fill out a request form and then they'll match you with someone that is competent in that area. And then you can set up different tutoring sessions with them. We do offer mental health services for our students. So, a lot of times going back to school, it's another stress in your life. It's another added, plate that you're spinning in the air. So it can be overwhelming. So if you feel like you need someone to talk to, we use a platform called Talkspace. And with that, you would get 2 video sessions per month, but then also you can call, you can text your counselor. It's no cost, no insurance. The only thing that you would need to apply for this would be your WVU email, which you would be given upon acceptance into the program. So it's a great resource if you're feeling overwhelmed or stressed or just have a lot going on in your life. Certainly take advantage of the counselors. They're fantastic. If you're locked out of eCampus or you can't remember your password or anything like that, you can go to our IT services. I think this program is probably one that uses the IT services the least, just because it is your comfort zone. But if something happens, the IT is there. They're wonderful. They'll reset your password. They'll give you a different link or, kind of help you get unstuck from where you are. You do have access to the library as a WVU student. So we use O'Reilly and Safari textbooks. We've got, databases you can access, different online platforms you can go through. If you wanted a good old-fashioned book mailed to you, they will mail them to the continental United States. So that's always nice. But it's a great access, great resource that you can use, and you still have access to all of the same networks that our on-campus students do. And then Portfolium is an interesting little platform that we have, and I always suggest students to start this as well. Basically, if you're kind of starting a new career or even just a new transition in your life, Portfolio is exactly that. It's an e-portfolio where you would save your resume, your writing samples, presentations you've done for a class, um, text, videos, anything that has helped you professionally or that you feel like you might want to share with an employer one day. It's kind of just a catch-all little system that you can kind of keep everything really neatly. You might want to keep your syllabi there from different classes so that if you need those down the line, you can show what you learned in a specific course. So it's a nice little catch-all service that we offer just to kind of make it that much easier when you are looking for different jobs or things like that. It's got all of your professional work right there. If you want a Mountaineer card, you can get one. You just have to upload a little picture of yourself and then they'll send you a little card. Sometimes it's nice just to have a little, I am a Mountaineer, just to have that little ID card. If you're local in Morgantown, sometimes there's discounts to different stores there. But sometimes it's just nice to have it. And, it's free. It's a fun little thing. So if you upload your picture, they'll send you a little Mountaineer card as well. So that is a nice little treat. Student Lingo is another service that we offer to students. So this one, again, I really like. It gives you different topics that maybe you're struggling with in generally 20-minute sessions or less. So it just kind of helps you work on things that maybe you feel you need some help with. So it can be time management, it can be study skills, it can be online communication, anything. They've got, I think, over 50 different topics that you can kind of hunt and peck and see, how to take a test better. It's a really good network, 20 minutes or less, so it's very short commitment. Again, the only thing you need to access that information would be your WVU email. So it's a great resource for students just to kind of brush up on those skills, especially if you haven't been in college in a long time. Sometimes taking a test is nerve-wracking or taking notes in a class is nerve-wracking. So it'll just give you a nice little refresher on how to do all those things and do them well. We do have career services that you're eligible to work with. If you need your resume updated, if you need your cover letter updated, if you're not sure how to interview, we use Handshake, which is a similar employment portfolio to Indeed or LinkedIn. So a job search database that you can access while you're a WVU student and then as well as after you graduate. So career services is amazing. They'll do a great job. So if you've got a resume when you're like, I don't know, it's literally old, maybe it's a little wordy, I'm not really sure. They'll look at it and help you streamline it so that you can say what you want to say and be, professional and succinct and all the things. One of the other really neat things that career services will do is they'll help you work on your elevator pitch. So essentially, if you got 2 minutes in front of someone that you wanted to get in front of, what would you say? What's your highlight reel? What are the points that make you unique from someone else that's applying for this job? So, if nothing else, that's a great thing to go through and just figure out what are your strengths and what do you want to highlight when you do get that interview. So, definitely take advantage of the career services if you can. And then alumni, the old tagline is Mountaineers love to help Mountaineers. So we have a lot of different alumni networks. I know specifically through this program, students through either LinkedIn or Indeed or the alumni pages have helped other students get jobs, and there's a lot of networking. So again, if you're looking for different connections or looking for a different job, definitely get through all those alumni services because not only is it a great program, it's got great students in it, and they definitely like to help one another. So, take advantage of all the services, but the alumni one is definitely one that I highly recommend as well.
Thanks, Ann. This was excellent coverage of the services available and also the admissions process. I can't emphasize enough that Ann and others in the admission coaching process are here and ready to help answer any of your questions. And please reach out. Um, and I'll provide some at the last slide some contact information to be able to do so. So one of the things that I think is important as you look towards in deciding what graduate program you're interested in, I know cost is sometimes one of those, and we are recognized as number one in the best value across all the programs, very similar online master programs to us in the nation. So we know that many of our students are deciding between institutions, and they've told me that they've decided on this one because of that primary reason. Of course, the quality, we're an R1 institution, so you're getting top professors and others involved in teaching you the latest and greatest, as well as industry experts that we have throughout the program. So the program outcomes include identifying, analyzing user and client needs, implementing and creating software-based solutions, applying software engineering practices, achieving success and proficiency in the profession, and recognizing the professional responsibilities and making informed decisions in the practice, as well as advancing as a team member and lead. And I've already mentioned many of our alum have moved through that process, and there are many career paths, but and each usually are unique based on individuals. But two of the primary that come from this program would be moving from usually the entry level students or junior software engineers or business analysts, somewhere in that area, data analysts, testers, developers, requirements analysts, engineers, and move then into from this project leads, project managers, tech leads, senior engineers, and we've had some in that category taking the program. We also find many of our alum have now moved into COO, VP, CTO, program directors, and other top level, and even started their own business and grown it to a multi-million dollar businesses. And some are in Fortune 100 companies working at the top levels of the organization. So these are some of our graduates, and they write back to us and say it's because of this program and these classes that I've taken and the tools that were provided to me that I've used throughout my career that have helped in that area. And so these aren't my words; these are the words of our students and our alum that have went before us. So we, we would want you to know that we are here to help answer and improve any of the things that you may have questions about with regards to being able to get into the program or going through the process of applying and being accepted, as well as even some of the content of the courses and things that we tried to give you a background of how the courses are laid out and the flexibility that's there. That's also one of the important things that our alum have stated about this program is the flexibility that it's offered them in being able to take two classes or one class, and in some cases they've had to step out a semester. Most go through in 5 semesters, including summer, and make are able to earn the degree in that 5 to 6 semester time frame. The last slide is where I mentioned contacts to me as well as Ian. And we welcome this. You can see there's a virtual session link where you can contact Ann and schedule a time to actually meet similar to this live session here and talk about the program and your background and any questions you might have that need to be answered before you're comfortable in making your final decision to come on board in this program. But we do look forward to seeing your application. We do see several applications come through that don't get completed. So please make sure it is completed. Follow through with your transcripts, follow through with your the things that Ann mentioned to make sure everything is complete so that we can move forward with admitting you into the program. And we also look forward to seeing you in class sometime in the near future. Um, I w- I would say about the ID that Ann mentioned. We have a very famous what's called PRT, and it's a transportation system that's on um, uh, like a monorail type system that was put in the 70s, and it was the first of its kind that the government helped support. And they looked at various campuses, and ours one, and it connects our health campus with our engineering campus with our downtown campus. And you can use the card for that if you happen to come to Morgantown, and you can transport from one place to the other to tour the full aspects of our campus here on site in Morgantown. So we do look forward to seeing you virtually and talking with you through email or a scheduled virtual session, and I hope to see you in class in the near future. Any further questions about anything we've covered or even things we may not have covered and missed before we go? Okay, I think we've covered all the or responded in some way or another to all the questions. So I do thank you for that. Again, if you think of something, we'll try to get the slides out to everyone that is either here live or listening virtually. And if you have any questions, um, if you happen to listen to the recording And when I ask questions, there's our emails and phone numbers. Feel free to give us a contact, and we'll be glad to talk with you further. Have a great day, and hope to see you in class. Goodbye.
Thank you, everyone.